Here we go. Last section. This is the end result of almost everything. You now have the tools and the skills to manipulate and solve equations that have trig functions in them. I did the same thing I did in the last two sections. I took the most obvious answer. It is not the only answer. It is maybe even not the answer the book wants. I may have skipped the fact that we changed quadrants and I just ignored that. I've taken the most obvious answer. You'll be fine. If you did this in front of someone who did math for a living, they would know exactly what you did and how you got it. They might fuss because it's not correct, but it's not so wrong that you can't muddle through and learn the right way. So, and I teach the way people would coach. You don't need to teach someone who is not going to be a professional whatever every single trick. You let them learn. And then if they look like they're going on, if they think they might get better at it, if they think they might want to do it forever, then you start teaching them all the little tricks. Well, not technically this, but turn your hand a little different. Because that is how you coach someone in a sport. You don't make a second grader learn how to dribble and not walk. You let them just throw the ball around until they get good at that. And if they stick with it, then you change the way they dribble. If they stick with that, you change the way they do a layup. That kind of shifting is how coaches teach something. And you can teach someone something that they're not going to learn and do forever. And they might even enjoy it. And it's a nice little skill and they get something out of it. We don't teach math that way. We teach math as if every single instant, and we teach English this way too, every single instant you are about to become a professional. You need to make sure that there are no ants for English. You need to make sure everything is in the exact proper format. That makes it incredibly stressful to learn something because you never have that time where you're allowed to just kind of muddle through it and just accomplish something in the end that looks okay. But you've got to give people that flexibility to learn first and be stressed about it later. So I took the straightforward answer. I did not stress about domain restrictions. I didn't even stress about whether or not I got the exact right sign on some of these. I've made notes when I did that so that if it bothers you, and if you already know the answer, you won't think that you're wrong. But I have ignored stuff and let us be beginners. You can be a beginner. You can do stuff and it's a little sloppy. Then you get better at it if you practice. And if you don't practice, it won't matter. So these are all done. Same rules, same techniques, same thing you've done in algebra class. The only difference is now you've got sines and tangents and cosines all thrown around here screwing with it. But it's still the same rules. You have to do the same thing to both sides of an equation. You must treat everybody fairly. If you're going to multiply this by 1, you must multiply that by 1. If you're going to multiply the whole thing by the square root of 2, then the whole thing gets multiplied by the square root of 2 because that's what's fair. You can't divide by 0, and you're looking for tricks. I tried to do as many of them as I could. You have multiple answers on some of them. I took the most obvious answer. I wrote when things were not possible because sine and cosine all have to be 1 or smaller or -1, between 1 and -1. So this is 1 through 20. Then I stopped, and I will get your all's test loaded today so you can copy stuff down. Thanks.